What is the price of a dream? For some, it's money. For others, it's time. But for Abigail, her dream was to feel a life growing inside her. And when modern science had no answers, she turned to the ancient world, with a single click. She bought a solution. But what arrived in that discreet brown box wasn't a blessing. It was a seed. A seed for something that was never meant to be born. Abigail and her husband, Ezra, had love. They had a beautiful home. But their arms were empty. Each month was a cycle of hope followed by a crushing grief that quietly eroded their joy. Doctors called it unexplained. To Abigail, it felt like a curse. Desperation is a quiet madness. It makes you look in places the sane would never dare. Late one night, on a forum hidden deep in the internet, she found a link. Nkisi Mbila, it read. The vessel of the womb. A sacred fertility idol from the river tribes of the deep Congo. The reviews were glowing, miraculous. I'm holding my son right now, one said. It works when nothing else will, claimed another. With a trembling heart and a stolen credit card, she ordered it. When it arrived, it was smaller than she expected. A clay figure, heavy and cold. It was a crude, stylized woman with a hugely distended belly, but the face was not serene. It was a wide, toothy grin that seemed less joyful and more hungry. It made her shiver. But hope has a way of silencing fear. Abigail placed the idol on her bedside table, as the instructions, printed on faded, scanned parchment, dictated. She was to offer it a drop of her blood every new moon and whisper her deepest desire. It felt absurd. Superstitious. But the weight of her longing was heavier than her doubt. That night, she pricked her finger. As the crimson bead welled up, she pressed it against the idol's clay belly. The blood was absorbed instantly, disappearing into the porous surface without a trace. She whispered, I want to be a mother. And then, she felt it. A warmth. Not from the idol, but in her own abdomen. A faint, fluttering cramp, the kind she'd prayed to feel for years. A wild, disbelieving hope surged in her chest. She woke Ezra. I feel something, she breathed. Weeks passed. The idol sat, grinning in the lamplight. Abigail's hope blossomed. She felt different. Energized. Her skin glowed. When she missed her next period, she dared to buy a test. This time, the 2 lines appeared. Clear as day. She wept with Ezra, tears of pure, unadulterated joy. Their miracle had arrived. The doctors were stunned but congratulatory. The idol was forgotten, relegated to a curious knick-knack, its purpose seemingly fulfilled. But the first oddity happened during the ultrasound. The technician frowned. The heartbeat is strong, she said, but the placement is unusual. And the shape. She didn't finish. She said it was probably nothing, just a tricky angle. Then, the craving started. Not for pickles or ice cream. Abigail woke one night with a frantic, physical need for raw clay. She found herself in the backyard, scooping damp earth into her mouth, the rich, mineral taste satisfying a deep, primal itch. She hid this from Ezra, ashamed. The idol, she noticed, was changing. The clay seemed darker, almost damp. And the distended belly of the figure appeared, larger. She dismissed it as her imagination. By the second trimester, Abigail's pregnancy was not a blessing, it was a consuming force. She grew huge, uncomfortably so, and fast. The baby kicked with a violence that took her breath away. But the kicks didn't feel like little feet or hands. They felt like shifting. Like something rearranging itself inside her. The dreams began. Vivid, terrifying dreams of dark riverbanks and a whispering voice that wasn't quite a voice. It was the sound of mud bubbling. In the dreams, she was giving birth, but what emerged wasn't a child. It was a slick, formless thing of wet clay that wrapped around her, pulling her back into the earth. She confided in her grandmother, Bibi Mwamba, a woman who still kept the old ways. Over the phone, Abigail described the idol. Bibi Mwamba's silence was terrifying. When she spoke, her voice was grave. "Abigail, my child. You have been fooled. Nkisi Mbila is not a child giver. It is a womb taker. It is a spirit vessel from Zimu wa Udongo, the earth ghost. It does not create new life. It transplants old, hungry life. It is not a baby you carry. It is a seed of the earth. And it is preparing your body to be its permanent home." Abigail's blood ran cold. "What does that mean, Bibi?" "It means," the old woman said, her voice cracking, "you are not pregnant with a child. You are pregnant with a grave. It will hollow you out and fill you with living soil until you are nothing but a shell, a vessel for something ancient and cold. You must get rid of the idol. Now." Panic-stricken, Abigail ran to her bedroom. The idol was no longer on the table. It was on the floor, as if it had moved. The clay was now a dark, glossy brown, like wet river mud. The grinning face seemed to be looking right at her belly. She grabbed it, its surface unpleasantly warm and yielding, like flesh. She ran to the backyard, to the trash bin, and hurled it inside. She slammed the lid shut, chest heaving. From inside the house, she heard a crash. Rushing back, she found Ezra standing in the kitchen, pale. A vase had shattered on the floor. "Something pushed me," he stammered. And then, Abigail felt a tearing, wrenching pain in her womb. It dropped her to her knees. She screamed, clutching her massive belly. Through the window, she saw the trash lid fly open. And the idol, impossibly, was sitting upright on top of the garbage, facing the house. That night, it was back on her bedside table. No one had brought it in. She was its anchor. She could not be separated from it. The horror escalated. She could feel roots. Tiny, fibrous tendrils spreading from her womb, knitting into her organs. When she slept, she felt them thirst. One morning, she found her favorite potted orchid on the balcony dead, desiccated, its life force sucked dry. The soil in its pot was gray and dead. The thing inside her was feeding, drawing life from the world around her to build its own. Ezra, now witnessing the poltergeist activity and his wife's rapid, grotesque transformation, was paralyzed with fear. The joyful expectant father was gone, replaced by a man watching his wife be consumed. Abigail looked in the mirror one morning and didn't recognize herself. Her skin had a grayish, earthen tone. Fine cracks, like dry mud, appeared around her eyes and mouth. Her eyes, once bright, looked like dark, stagnant pools. She wasn't carrying a child. She was becoming the idol. The final stage began. A profound, unshakable cold settled in Abigail's bones. She was always shivering. Plants died in her presence. The air in their home grew thick and smelled of loam and decay. Ezra's love was being strangled by terror. Bibi Mwamba arrived, having driven through the night. She took one look at Abigail and her face collapsed in grief. She carried a pouch of herbs and sacred ash. "The spirit has taken root too deep," she whispered to Ezra. "We cannot uproot it without killing the tree. There is only one way. We must speak to it. We must ask it what it truly wants. In the living room, Bibi Mwamba drew a circle of ash around Abigail, who was now barely responsive, her body a monument to wrongness. The old woman chanted in a tongue older than memory. She held a knife made of iron, a metal spirit's hate. She addressed the idol. Mzimu wa Udongo. You have been given a drop but have taken a river. What is your price to leave this child? The room temperature plummeted. The lights flickered. And a voice, not from the idol, but from Abigail's mouth, spoke. Yet her lips did not move. The voice was the sound of grinding stones and shifting earth. No price. The vessel is mine. The womb is my home. I will fill it. I will sprout. I will bloom. As the voice spoke, Abigail's belly convulsed violently. The fabric of her dress strained. And then, a wet, tearing sound. A dark, muddy substance, mixed with something horribly organic, began to seep through the cloth. It wasn't blood. It was wet, living clay. Ezra screamed. Bibi Mwamba's chant became a shout. The thing was being birthed, not out of Abigail, but through her very skin. The idol on the table shattered with a loud crack. From its fragments, a thick, root-like tendril of black clay erupted, snaking across the floor with impossible speed. It didn't go towards Abigail. It went towards Ezra. It wrapped around his ankle, and he felt a suction, a draining, as the color left his face. It was taking his life force to fuel the final transformation. Bibi Mwamba acted. She threw the sacred ash onto the tendril. It hissed like a serpent, recoiling. She then plunged the iron knife not into the tendril, but into the circle of ash at Abigail's feet, breaking the circle's connection. A silent, psychic shockwave erupted. Abigail's body arched. The seepage of clay stopped. The earthen color in her skin receded like a tide, leaving her pale, gaunt, and horrifically empty. The monstrous presence withdrew, furious but severed from its anchor. But it did not return to nothing. The tendril of clay, the life force stolen from Ezra and the plants, coalesced on the floor. It formed a small, writhing mound of animate earth, shaped like a crude, root-bound fetus. It pulsed once, twice, and then crumbled into inert, dead dust. The spirit was banished. But it had taken its toll. Abigail survived. But the doctors found her womb changed. It was lined with strange, fibrous tissue they couldn't explain. It was barren in a new, permanent way. A soil that could never again bear fruit. Ezra recovered, but a part of his vitality was forever gone, leaving him with a chronic, racking chill. The dream of motherhood was not just dead. It had been poisoned, turned into a nightmare that left their home and their bodies scarred. Abigail and Ezra moved away, leaving the city and its memories behind. They had wanted to create a family. Instead, they hosted a parasite. A desperate heart had opened a door, and something ancient and hungry had slithered in, disguised as an answered prayer. So, what do you think? Was Abigail simply a victim of a predatory online scam from the spirit world? Or did her desperation blind her to the warning signs, the idol's hungry grin, the too good to be true promises? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more journeys into the heart of Africa's darkest, most compelling folktales. Until next time, be careful what you wish for online.